Is check, check, check. Testing, testing, testing. You are looking live at Sold Out Giants Stadium, where today the 16-0 New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Philadelphia Eagles. Now, why the Philadelphia Eagles 0-16? Because they suck. They've always sucked. They suck this year, and they're always going to suck. The Philadelphia Eagles suck. And welcome to the Gridiron. This is a 37th attempt at trying to put this video out. The other 315,000 times, I don't know, something's going wrong with my microphone, so I had to redo it a few different times. So hopefully my microphone works this time. I don't know what it is. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to try to go about, 30 minutes here tonight. It would shoot my mouth off. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw it in the chat box. And, I usually check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So if something goes in there, right, I always check on it, and I always try to, as soon as I see something, I always try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free, fire away, right, throw it in the chat box there. I got, let's see, delete forever. Yeah, but I don't know what it was. I had a couple of, I put 2 other videos up, and every time I kept going on, my microphone wasn't working, so I have no idea what was going on. But hopefully now it's live. Hopefully now my microphone's working, and hopefully everything's just going to be hunky-dory. So I said, anybody got anything to say, just feel free, fire away, throw in the chat box. All right. Now, the Giants and their salary cap situation here. I'm trying to move my microphone just ever so gently because I don't want to going off again. Now, the Giants just signed 12 guys to futures contracts. So the Giants had, over, what we got? Had like 50 some odd $1 million, in salary cap room. They just signed a bunch of guys to futures contracts. Basically, the guys on the guys on the practice squad. So a lot of that money went against the salary cap, obviously. But in the long run, it's not really going to go because these guys are going to be pretty much on practice squad. So, and when the next season starts, their salary per se won't really go unless the guys on the practice, unless these guys, somehow they make the team, right? But for the most part, the Giants signed them to futures contracts. Okay, they tried to, keep guys they thought might be valuable options for them going forward, right? But basically, a lot of them, the contracts they wind up signing are just like pretty much league minimums. Okay, so they're just trying to get some guys, keep the practice squad, sign pretty much the guys to practice squad, and they're on the cheap, right? So now they're down to like $44 million. According to Spot Track, you could probably go to over the cap or over Spot Track. You can go all these different ones, and each one's probably gonna have a different number. I just go to Spot Track because I can follow it, and everything. Now the Giants have a couple. Obviously they have 18 different free agents, right? Coming up, okay. So they got that's a big, who they're going to wind up trying to keep, who they're going to keep, who they're going to let go, who can they afford to keep. According to Spot Track, all right, they have obviously one of the big ones. The big question mark is Saquon Barkley. Now you see, reports how true they are, but apparently he's wanting like $16 million a year. Nah, not happening. Spot Track has him, I think it was like 11.9 million, or roughly around $12 million a year. I guess I could see that more than, I don't. I mean, I'm sure somebody will sign him the $16 million. I mean, if the Giants don't, I don't see them signing him the $16 million. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I understand, a guy who wants to get paid. This is probably his one and only nice, juicy contract because, he's played 5 years in the NFL, right? Say he signs, say another 3 years with somebody, right? He gets his little pay, you say 3 years, 45 million, right? After that's over with, now he'll be in his 9th season, right? I mean, if he's still able to play, if he's not injured and this, that, and the other thing, I mean, anybody signs him after that, he's not making 15 million after that. I mean, it's going to come way down. So this is his one time to get paid. And I understand. I don't blame him. The one, obviously, the problem, the question is like with the running backs. A lot of times they say once you hit 30, you start going down. Once you get so many touches, your production goes down. Once you get so many injuries, your production goes down. I mean, he's still young. The Giants used him a lot early in the season. He stayed relatively healthy, right? Didn't use him a ton toward the end of the season. Okay. But he's going to his 6th season. If you're going to sign him, as I said, like maybe 3 years or so. But I mean, I can't see them wanting to sign him any more. Like about what Spot Track? Is he a weapon? Yeah, absolutely, sure. Oh yeah, I mean, it's he's somebody you have to take into account every down without question, right? Would I love to see the Giants sign him back? Yeah, I don't know if they're going to want him going someplace in the middle. We'll have to wind up waiting and seeing what kind of wheeler and dealer Shane is. I mean, a lot of it depends, also is like what kind of person he is, what kind of player is, what kind of teammate he is. Is he somebody they want to keep around, keep in the building? And is he a fan favorite? And Saquon checks off all those boxes. Now, I don't know if they try to meet him someplace in the middle. I don't know how, stern Saquon is with his demands. If those reports are true that he wants $16 million. Right. But I'm tending to lean more toward like, maybe Spot Track, like around 12, I don't know if Shane will, try to meet him someplace in the middle. Who knows? But what I do know is that you do not need, a number 2 overall running back pick. Okay. In the draft, right. To win a Super Bowl. You just don't need it, yeah, I mean, 49ers, you look at Christian McCaffrey, I mean, high pick, right? He might be going to the, maybe, let's hope they beat the Eagles, okay? But, I mean, if you go back and look at over, a lot of the Super Bowls in the past, right? Who won the Super Bowls and all and everything, right? A lot of times you can get away with not needing look out, the Bills. I mean, look at the teams in the AFC, right? I mean, look at the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals. Look, I mean, teams like that. I mean, they don't have like a top. I mean, look at the Eagles. But I mean, the Eagles have the Eagles have the best offensive line in football. So even I can gain a couple yards on a play, with the, you know what I mean? But I mean, their running backs are not high draft picks either. You don't need. I mean, is it nice to have one? Yeah, sure, absolutely. But you don't need one. I think the Giants could certainly find somebody you're not going to find somebody to replace what Saquon's got. You know what I mean? And as far as he's just heck of a teammate. Somebody really love to have on a team and all. But I mean, that's going to be depends upon what the asking price is. Because I mean, the Giants got a lot of other guys they're trying to re-sign. I mean, you can, I believe coming, what I've read was that between Xavier McKinney and like Andrew Thomas, the Giants can start thinking about maybe extending those guys' contracts, right? I mean, we don't have a quarterback now. I mean, well, we got Tyrod Taylor, okay, but I don't think the Giants want to be playing with Tyrod Taylor all season long. So I mean, you have to try to re-sign, Daniel Jones, right? I mean, you got I'm just looking at some of these other guys that the Giants have. I mean, Sterling Shepard, right? Now with Sterling Shepard, they don't even have a market value. Spot Track has a market value for 4 of the guys, and all these other guys there's like no market value for. I mean, meaning that they if they went on the open market, I mean, they're not going to get a lot, right? But I mean, Sterling Shepard, you can certainly get him on the cheap without question. You can get him, because he gets injured all the time. He wants to be here. I'm sure he would love to retire here, right? I mean, he's been here since 2016. I mean, we got Landon Collins. I mean, but I mean, Landon Collins was the second round in 2015. Sterling Shepard was the second round in 2016. So you got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 7. Sterling's been here for 7 seasons. I mean, in a Giant uniform, somebody being on the team for 7 straight seasons, that's like almost a miracle, right? But I mean, Sterling Shepard, I mean, certainly he'll be 30 next year, right? But I mean, I think he's certainly somebody you want to. I mean, if the guy can ever, I mean, the Giants are going to try to change the turf. Okay. Now he got injured this year, was at home. All right. So maybe changing the turf will actually wind up helping Sterling Shepard. Maybe, he won't get injured, but I mean, if you can ever get a season out of Sterling Shepard without question, I mean, let me see, what the heck did he have? Sterling Shepard here. Sterling Shepard, if I can find him. Let's see here. Sterling Shepard, amount of receptions he had. 13 receptions. He played in 3 games. And then obviously 3 games. Yeah, he played in 3 games. He had 13 receptions. Okay. But the one, he got injured. But he's very reliable. Him and Daniel Jones work together a lot. So I mean, I would try to bring him back if you can. As I said, it would not cost a lot of money because he's just coming off another injury. He gets injured all the time. Okay. So I would certainly try to bring Sterling Shepard back without question. They said, then we got Saquon Barkley. All right. And I said, it depends upon what he's asking for. If he's, hard pressed to make $16 million, I think it's going to be with another football team. Now, also got to remember is that, you're in New York. I mean, if you need to make some extra money, right. Sure people want to use his name and all of that stuff and everything. I'm sure he could, push some products out there on TV or whatever and make some extra money. If man needs to make some extra money or wants to make some extra money. I mean, you're in the media capital world. I mean, you can make some money in New York City without question. But so it's all going to depend upon, how much he wants to be here or how much money he wants to make. So a lot of that depends. That's going to be a tough one. Now the Giants could try to like franchise tag him or so. I believe that's like $10 million. Maybe they could try to maybe do something like that, right? I mean, if they can sign Daniel Jones, then they could just maybe franchise tag Saquon. So we'll have to wait and see. Then you got Daniel Jones. Now, Spot Track has his market value at $26 million. I don't know. I think we're looking at closer to like $30 million for him. Without question, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Maybe about $30 million for Daniel Jones, somewhere in that area. I mean, the Giants, I really think we're going to try to want to lock him up because where the Giants are drafting at, is there going to be a quality quarterback, in the mid-20s where the Giants are drafting? I mean, they got the guy coming out of Florida who might fall, is a little bit maybe of a project. Now, if the Giants want to have Tyrod Taylor be maybe the starting quarterback or something and draft somebody and maybe mold the quarterback and hope he works out. But they know what they got with Daniel Jones. I mean, they had him there all season long. Did a phenomenal job not turning the ball over. He didn't have phenomenal passing numbers, but then again, he didn't have a phenomenal offensive line. He did not have phenomenal weapons, right? I mean, they had to kind of scale things down, right, to fit the players they had. It wasn't like, well, we have no offensive line and we have no wide receivers, so let's have him stand in the pocket for 8 seconds and let's just go everybody deep and we'll just have him stand there. And when everybody gets, no, you got to tailor, obviously, what they did a phenomenal job tailoring the offense around what they have. Somewhat of a weak offensive line and, not phenomenal wide receiver talent, right? But Daniel Jones led him to the playoffs, won a playoff game, right? I mean, did Daniel Jones look good? No, but I think I read a report where he, on 64% of his dropbacks, I think it was in the first half. I think I'm up with these freaking numbers. It's just unbelievable. But I think it was 64% of his dropbacks he was pressured on, and I think that's been the second most ever since they started doing those numbers going back to like 2009. I think Russell Wilson there was a half. I don't know what game it was. They didn't say. But apparently Russell Wilson had a first half, I believe it was, in a playoff game where he got pressured more often than what Daniel Jones was. But I mean, it's look at what Jalen Hurts had and look at what Daniel Jones had. Not only the talent, but Jalen Hurts back there. Anybody open yet? Nope, not yet. I'll just stand back here for another hour. And somebody will get open. There's a difference, right? When Daniel Jones goes back, drop back to pass, and within 2 seconds, he's got guys all over him. I mean, it's kind of tough to complete passes that way. So I mean, if they, I ain't telling Shane and Dable nothing, but if they can work on the offensive line, right? Obviously, it's tough to fix an offensive line in 1 year, but I mean, you start maybe put some pieces in there, right? You got Thomas. I really, really think from the bottom of my heart, Neal is working on his craft. The last bunch of games, he was injured. His knee didn't fully recover from that. He's going to work on his craft. Is he going to be an all-pro, Hall of Famer? Who knows? Is he going to get better? Oh, yeah, definitely, without question. Think he's going to get better. I'm not going to say he's going to be the greatest right tackle in football, but I think he's going to work on his craft, and he's certainly going to get better, without question. They can also possibly kind of think about maybe, I don't know, if he has problems, maybe move him into guard. I mean, he's kind of tall for a guard. I mean, that's awfully tall. Usually they don't have somebody that tall being guards, but you can try him in there, right? But as it maybe we try to maybe actually draft a center, somebody whose normal position is center, instead of just, I don't know if they're going to be another one of the free agents is Feliciano. I think he might be one and done. Okay. Another one of the other ones is Nick Gates. Now, Nick Gates is probably not going to demand a lot of money. He's certainly somebody who can play center. Right. I mean, I like the idea of getting somebody in there who plays center. Right. I mean, you don't have to draft a center in the first round, maybe second round. I mean, you could probably get a nice center. And the Giants got 2 third-round picks. I think if I'm thinking, they got 4 in the top 100, I think it is. I think, if you can go back, then they got 5 in the top 126, whatever. But I mean, in the top 100, I mean, they got 4 picks. They're supposed to have the compensatory picks. They're supposed to have possibly 11 picks. Okay. Right. That's a lot. That's a lot of picks. So they could couple up with one of the third rounders and couple up with a 6th rounder or something and maybe trade up if they have, right? Do they need 11 guys? I mean, or maybe, you couple picks together and move up and draft somebody. I mean, I would like them to definitely like them to get a center, right? I said, it's not something you have to fix this year or whatever, but I mean, if each year you can add a little piece to the puzzle, right? Each year, you're going to need to get replace Glowinski. Now, do they think Azudu and McKeithen? Possibly. Do they think those guys? Because unfortunately, McKeithen is gone, right? Early on, and Azudu played a little bit, and then he got injured, and his season was over with. So I mean, do they think those guys maybe they can, right? I mean, because Shane and Dable drafted them. Maybe they think they can put them in a guard, or maybe they're just quality depth pieces. I would say the same thing about Nick Gates. I mean, obviously good depth. I mean, if he's only going to cost you a minimal amount of money, I would certainly keep him. I'm trying to resign Nick Gates without question. Now let's see who else. Feliciano. I mean, I think he might be one and done. Then you got Justin Ellis and Nick Williams. I mean, Nick Williams, he was his bicep, so he played a little bit, and then he like halfway through the season he got injured and he's over. Justin Ellis, I mean, he had a. I mean, he played. I mean, you got to give the man some credit. He played 377 snaps. I mean, according to Pro Football Focus, he did not grade out well. He graded out at a 30.1. Okay, so the one problem, the nice thing is we got Davidson coming back next year. Okay, so that's going to help. Now, but the one problem the Giants had was they have Leo Lion and Sexy Dexy. After those two guys, there's a drop off in talent, big time, right? So, and one of the problems would be Justin Ellis. I mean, Justin Ellis played. It looks like he played in every game. I mean, 377 snaps, right? But he didn't grade out real well. I mean, I would not re-sign him. Same thing with Nick Williams. Well, Nick Williams got injured. Nick Williams didn't do too bad. He had a couple nice games in there. But as I said, he got injured. I mean, if the Giants, he is 30, he's 33. He'll be 34. I mean, by the end of next season, he'll be 34. I mean, if they want to get him on the cheap and have him as depth, But I mean, I think the Giants might want to try to get younger because he's almost going to be 33 years old, right? Then they got Matt Breida. I mean, he was they had him for $1.1 million. I mean, I would, I would certainly try to get the guy back. I mean, they had him in Buffalo, right? I mean, you got Brightwell and Breida, right? If it all depends, are you going to keep the killer bees together? You're going to keep Breida, Barkley, and Brightwell together. But if not, if Barkley's going to go, I would try to re-sign Breida, right? And have Brightwell. If you can also draft a running back. You can also maybe go in the free agent market and get a running back. You don't need to get a unbelievable running back, and spend all kinds of money on a good running back, especially if you bolster your wide receiving group, right? Because now that now if your weapons are more dynamic, wide receiver, that makes the running back position a little bit better, right? I mean, when all eyes are on Saquon, right? Because you don't have phenomenal wide receiver talent, that makes it that much more difficult. So, Casey Kreider, the long snapper. I mean, I wouldn't, same thing in him, $1.187 million. I mean, I would try to bring him back. I mean, I didn't see any reason at all, why not to bring him back. I mean, he's 32. He'll be 33, obviously next year and all. But I don't see why not bringing him back, especially on the cheap. I mean, he's done well with the Giants. Now you got Hottie, Mr. Hottie, Jihad Board. Now, he's had some. He's on the cheap. Once again, I mean, it didn't cost a lot of money. You love the man's attitude, right? His passion and all that and everything. I mean, for the amount of money you would be paying him, okay, he's, let me see here. Pro Football Focus. I mean, he did not grade out super spectacular according to Pro Football Focus. He said he had some rough games. The game against the Eagles was a rough one, graded out at a 38. He's had some, against Seattle, he graded out of 29. Jacksonville graded out of 42. Green Bay, 43. So he's had some rough games in there, but you love his passion and all that. I mean, as far as, some depth, what is he? He's 28. He'll be 29 next year. Yeah, that might be somebody you might want to bring back, especially if you can get him on the cheap. Obviously, I don't know how much we'd want to be asking for, but I would try to bring Hottie back if they could, right? Especially, as I said, I mean, he's only making $1.18 million. I mean, you need guys like that. You can't pay everybody on your roster $10, $20 million. You got those $10, $20 million guys, and then you got your $1 million guys, and you need the $1 million guys, right? Then you got Tony Jefferson. Now, Tony Jefferson, I'll tell you what, he had a couple. He graded out, let's see, according to Pro Football Focus, right? I mean, he was some good quality backup, okay? Now, he was in there a lot. I mean, I guess after Xavier broke his hand, right? The Giants had him in weeks 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 in the 2 playoff games. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And so he played in the last 8 games of the season for the Giants. I mean, he graded out real. I mean, against Washington, he was only in there for 19 snaps, but he graded out at a 91.4, right? I mean, his coverage is very good. His coverage grade was a 71.8. Now, with him, according to Pro Football Focus, okay, is all I'm going by, they threw the ball at him 17 times. He gave up 16 receptions out of those 17. But out of those 16 receptions, he only gave up 104 yards. He gave up 6.5 yards of reception, which is like nothing. Okay. So, his tackling is very good. His coverage is very good. I mean, he may not knock a lot of balls down or like that, but they don't get a lot of yards on him. Now, I mean, for somebody, what is he? He's 31. He'll be 31 next season. All right. I mean, he's been with the Giants. He knows, now a lot of it also is kind of like, what's like the Wink Martindale, right? Is he going to get a head coaching job? I mean, because some of this, you got these guys in there that know the system, right? Is Wink going to be back? If you got Wink back, right? Why not bring some of these players back too? As I said, Tony Jefferson did a very admirable job, especially, as I said, he was making $1.12 million. I mean, like nothing. I mean, you need guys like Tony Jefferson on the team. You need good quality depth, which he is, experience, quality depth at a cheap price. Then the next guy you got is Jamie Gillen. I don't see why the Giants wouldn't want to bring him back. I mean, he was only making $1 million. I mean, did he set the world on fire? No, he had, some hiccups here or there. But I mean, for the most part, he did a solid job for the Giants. I don't see why they would not want to try to bring him back. Then we got, what we got? Oh, Richie James now. And once again with him. Now he was a big part, with the Giants. What did he have? I mean, he reception wise, the amount of receptions compared to the amount of targets, he did very, very well. If I can find him here. Where the heck is Richie James at here? There he is. He was thrown at 70 times. He caught the ball 57 times. He averaged 10 yards of reception and 4 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Very, very solid. I mean, he had a couple, unfortunately, he did have a couple drops. He fumbled the 2 balls against Seattle, which kind of cost us the game. But I mean, those 2 fumbles were very costly in the Seattle game. But he can return punts for you. Okay. He was not supposed to be a starter, okay, for the New York Giants on their, obviously on their, wide receiver core, right, in the beginning of season, right? He was lucky to get it on the field. I mean, when you got Wan'Dale Robinson and Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, right? All that, Richie James was probably not going to get on the field a whole heck of a lot, but due to injuries and trades and Kenny Golladay, whatever the heck happened with him. I mean, he's able to return punts, right? And he did. I mean, a couple games there. I'll tell you what, he was against the Eagles. He had 7 catches. Of course, their slot cornerback was not good. So Richie James in the slot. I mean, when Hodgins and Darius Slayton against the Eagles in the playoff game, between the two of them, 2 catches, 7 yards. You ain't winning jack effing shit with your 2 wide receivers, 2 catches, 7 yards. I mean, not in a quarter, not on one drive, not in a half, the whole game. 2 catches, 7 yards. Richie James had 7 catches, right? I mean, because the slot, for against the Eagles is very susceptible, and the Giants took advantage of that. But I mean, so Richie James has had some good games, right? Without question. I think it's somebody you might want to consider bringing back, because I figure, because Kenny Galladay's gone, Kadarius Toney's gone, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind bringing Richie James back at all, especially once again, he's on the cheap now. He was, he played a lot. So now I don't know if he's going to want maybe a little something because he played a lot. You got to also remember too, like some of these guys too, like some of these wide receivers, like Richie James also, and Darius Slayton, which we're going to get to, right? You got to sit them down and say, we'd like to re-sign you, but we're going to start bringing more wide receivers in, and especially with Darius Slayton or Richie James, it's like, we'd like to maybe have you back. Can't maybe give you a boatload of money. We'd love to have you back, but you also got to realize that how you played a lot of snaps this year, right? That may not happen next year, because we're going to draft somebody, maybe double dip on the draft, get somebody early, maybe somebody later on in the rounds, or maybe bring a free agent in or something. Okay. So, somebody's like, obviously Darius Slayton. He's somebody, I mean, he was only making, my God, they had him. He was not making much at all. He had to take a salary cut. They asked him to lower his salary just to stay on the Giants, and he did. Now, I mean, he had a nice season. Wasn't super spectacular. What have we got here? Darius Slayton. He caught 46 out of 71, but once again, he eclipsed the 700-yard mark once again. He averaged 15.7 yards of reception. I mean, he's not the guy, he's not the slot guy who's going to run 5 yards, turn around, you're going to hit him or anything like that. I mean, he averaged 15.7 yards of reception. Once again, he had a couple drops, So, but I mean, once again, 46 catches, 724 yards. I mean, and he stayed healthy, right? Which he had some problems in the past. But I mean, there's some of these, also you got to, obviously if they're going to bring him back, there's something you have to sit him down and talk to him. It's like, we'd love to have you back, right? We love you, this, that, and the other thing, and all and everything. But, we're going to try to start bringing some wide receiver talent in, and you may not be playing a boatload. Is that okay with you? Or does he want to go test the free agent market somewhere where maybe he might play? Because let's not forget. I mean, he can. Whoever wants to sign him, he can pick and choose. Then he can look and say, "Oh, okay, they want me. Well, their wide receivers suck, so I'm probably going to get a chance to play there. So I'm going to sign with them because I want to play." Does he want to come back with the Giants? Re-sign with them, okay, and maybe not play as much. So it takes 2 to tango. I mean, you want to bring the guy back and all, but he may not want, so if he's not going to play much, I mean, so it's tricky, but I would like to bring Slayton back too. Right? I mean, we get Slayton back, Sterling Shepard, hopefully we can re-sign him. Maybe, as I said, Richie James, right? And we get Wan'Dale Robinson back off of injury. I said, hopefully we draft somebody high, and maybe we go out and get somebody in a free agency. We'll have to wait and see. It'd be interesting to see where Shane wants to go spend his money. Very, very interesting to see. All right, then we got a couple other guys. One was Fabian Moreau. Now it's without question. Guy's 20, he'll be 29. All right. Once again, some good quality depth. I mean, he had some good games in there. All right. I mean, let's see, according to Pro Football Focus, okay, is all I'm going by. All right. He was thrown at 79 times. They only completed 48 passes. They only completed, 60.8. So about 61% of the passes thrown his way were completed. That's pretty darn good in today's NFL. I mean, he's not a shutdown corner or nothing like that. Okay. I mean, what the heck did he make here? Whoop. I mean, he was making like $1 million, right? I mean, for $1 million, I mean, he played 860 snaps. You got 860 snaps out of this guy, okay, for $1 million. And it's going into the playoffs. I mean, without question, I would certainly try to bring him back. I mean, especially if Wink comes back. Absolutely. I mean, he only gave up 560 yards. He gave up 11.7 yards of reception. He only gave up 184 yards after catch. His longest pass reception was 28 yards against him. He did give up 5 touchdowns. Okay. He gave up, but I mean, for $1 million, I think I would try to bring him back. Okay. Marcus Johnson, he was $1 million. I mean, and we got Colin Johnson, who was injured, hopefully we might wind up seeing him maybe next year if the guy can stay healthy. I would let Marcus Johnson go. Oshane Ximines, I mean, they don't even have a market value for him, so I don't even know what the heck he would ask for. I mean, he had 2 sacks this year. I mean, he played a bunch of games. Shane Ximines, he was in on 24 tackles. He had 2 sacks. He played in almost every game. He started in 4, I guess, when Kayvon was injured or when Azeez was injured or whatever. So he started 4 games, played in 15. Okay. I mean, nothing super phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, he goes back 2 regimes. He's not a Judge guy. He's a Shermer guy. Okay. So, I mean, there's no ties whatsoever with him and Shane or Dable. Okay. There's nothing at all. Okay. So I don't know about him if Oshane Ximines is going to wind up coming back. He had a nice rookie season and things really looked like if he could keep getting maybe a little better each year. And that just never happened. I mean, he had a nice rookie season. Nice. Hasn't worked out. It's the same thing like with Ellison Smith. Can that guy ever stay healthy? I mean, his problem is he's not a Shane or Dable guy. He's a Judge guy. Okay. So they have no ties to him whatsoever. So, I mean, if that guy can't stay, it's the same thing with Shane Lemieux. If those guys can't stay healthy, don't let the door hit you in the ass, right? I mean, your best ability is your availability. I mean, it doesn't matter how nice a guy you are, how hard you work, or this, that, or the other thing. If you can't stay healthy, I mean, bye-bye. So, as I said, Ellison Smith, I mean, can that guy stay healthy? Shane Lemieux, can they stay healthy? They're not free agents. I'm just trying to rattle off some of these guys that can't stay injured. Now we go to the last guy here. Okay. I said, we went over Darius Slayton. I mean, let's see, they got his market. What the heck? His market value, I think, was like $3.5 million, Darius Slayton. That's what Spot Track has him at. Okay. Now, somebody might wind up throwing a little bit more money at him than that. Okay. A little bit more. I mean, especially if some of these guys, now don't get me wrong. All right. He's not one of these upper tier echelon guys, right? Who are going to get $25 to $30 million. So don't get me wrong, but Spot Track has him at like $3.5 million. I mean, said he's gotten over 700 yards receiving, right, on a bad offense many times. I could see him getting a little bit more, maybe $3.5 million from somebody. Now, as I said, with Darius Slayton, he's going to have to, Does he want to be here or not? He took a pay cut to stay here. Okay. He got to play a lot. I said it's going to be interesting to see. Guys, I can see somebody maybe throwing a little bit of money at him, a little bit more, maybe $3.5 million a year, and maybe he might go bye-bye. But if they could bring Darius Slayton back, I'm all for it. I mean, the price has got to be right? Then, of course, the last guy who we got to sign without question, without a doubt, okay, Julian Love. Spot track his market value, I think, very fairly. Yeah, $7.9 million, about $8 million a season. Very fair. Is he All of Famer? Nope. Is he an All Pro? Nope. Is he ever going to be an All Pro? Nope. But I'll tell you, what he has, what he can bring to a team, you can't replace. You cannot replace. You could put that freaking guy anywhere. I mean, Judge. You could say whatever you want about Joe Judge and this, that, thing, but Joe Judge hit the nail right on the head with the hammer. Mr. Duct Tape. I mean, he can do anything, fix anything, whatever. I mean, if you put him in a cornerback, is he going to play at elite level? Nope. You put him at safety, is he going to play? Nope. But I mean, is he smart, intelligent? As I said, you can put him anywhere. Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you need guys like that? Oh yeah. See, he's those middle of the pack guys, right? You can't pay everybody $20 million. The NFL does not want that, right? You need your middle of the pack guys and you need your cheap guys. Julian Love, he was drafted here. Okay. He should be here. They should try to sign him for at least 3 more years without question. All right. He had a very, very good season. Very good season. He was making, he's a 4th round pick. So he's making freaking nothing. Okay. So what we got out of him, we paid him nothing. Okay. For 4 years. This year was his first real nice. We had a chance to play because you're figuring him like last year, right? You had Logan Ryan, Xavier McKinney, Jabrill Peppers, Bradbury, Adoree Jackson. Julian Love. Where is he going to play? There's no room for you, buddy. You know what I mean? So this was his first year, and it just shows you what he can do, right? And how valuable he is. Intelligence. Okay. And now he's getting more and more experience playing many different positions. As I said, once again, he had a very good season, not a phenomenal season, very good season with Wink Martindale. If we bring Wink back, if Wink doesn't get a job, okay, I think without question to have Julian Love back there, without question. You got to try to sign this guy to at least 3 years or so, that would, if you let him go, that would be a mistake. The Giants have to start re-signing some of their own guys. Now the problem is here, Shane and Dable have no ties to Julian Love. He wasn't drafted by them, but the Giants somewhere along the line have to start, putting a stake in the ground and say, it stops right here. Julian Love is up there. You got, there's certain guys you have to re-sign. Daniel Jones is one of them, but Julian Love is right up there. You need to re-sign Julian Love. And I said, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. Okay. So you need him. He's very good for the secondary. If we can ever get another good, solid cornerback, right? You got Adoree Jackson. We got, a couple guys, decent guys and all that. If you ever get another real good, solid cornerback who can take care of the number 2 wide receiver position, right? And you got guys, our safeties and all and everything. We could have a really good defense, so we got Julian Love without question. So the Giants also going to let Kenny Golladay go probably after June 1st, and they're going to save like almost $13 million for him. If they can re-sign Leonard Williams to another couple years, his cap hit next year is like $32 million. Re-sign him to a couple more years, guarantee him some money, give him a signing bonus, take that cap hit next year, bring it way down, maybe save 10, 12, $15 million off his cap hit from next year. Give the Giants another $15 million or so. Now the Giants be on to something. But the Giants, they got 18 free agents. They're not going to, they can't sign them all, re-sign them all. Unfortunately, that's just the way the NFL is. They just don't want that. But there's guys the Giants are going to re-sign, and there's also these guys the Giants have to sign. My top two would obviously is Daniel Jones and Julian Love. You have to re-sign those guys, right? All the other guys you can replace. I don't think you can replace a Julian Love, especially for the amount of money that he's going to command. And, have a hard time replacing Daniel Jones. So those are the two guys. Well, guys, it's been 45 minutes. Anybody watching me at all? Thank you. I said the first 2 times I tried to do this video, I plugged my microphone in and the microphone's not working. Thankfully, now it's working. All right, so anybody spent any time at all watching me, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. It means the world to me. Thank you. Or anybody watches any of the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys rock. And as always, guys, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.